Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ahdurin region. I'm your host, Ahdurin himself. Welcome back to the Ace Attorney series. This is getting wild. Emma's about to recollect some stuff. Turns out she invented the Blue Badger 2 years before Gumshoe did. That's spoilers for the previous episode if you haven't already. Check that out. There's a playlist in the description below. All the likes and stuff, so you can do that. Let's get into it. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. I agree, Judge.
Objection!
Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop, please. Don't pursue this any further. Lana's real excited for some reason. Lana? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Lana's real energetic. I'm actually using emotion in her voice. Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. So you're finally getting to the core of the matter. Lana's getting concerned. Alright, recollection time. When I saw that man raise his knife... Let's just press everything, let's go. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark? Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So then you... panicked and rushed towards the both of them. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've got to help that other person. Detective through and through. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. What do you mean you think? It all happened so fast. And I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur. Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then what happened next? Alright, let's think. A flash of lightning, that's when you saw the Blue Badger show up 2 years before it existed. Are you sure about this? Of course. See? I even drew a picture of him over here. But it was the chief of detectives who thought of this hideous beast. And that was just this year. Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh, brother. Just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing? He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure he saw his shadow. His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns.
Objection!
This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken.
Objection!
That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? I suppose you have an explanation. So then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this Blue Badger really? I'm not sure. Absolutely and positively have no idea whatsoever. That's a terrible idea. Never mind. That was a mistake. Well, it's always good to be sure of oneself. Crap. Apparently it helps when trying to overlook one's failures. But I know what I saw. I'm not making this up. Mr. Wright, please. You've got to believe me. Emma, Blue Badger didn't even exist 2 years ago. So what exactly did Emma see? I've gathered all the evidence. All that's left now is to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Is that resetting? Okay, great. Okay, this is gonna just go through all this again. Oh wait, I'm clicking wrong buttons. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. Okay. Do I have to go through? I don't think I can present here. They have the dialogue there, so I'm guessing I have to press here and then go through all this dialogue again. Okay, so what exactly do we have that has that same sort of 3-horn setup? Because that's basically what we've got to work with. What do we have? The Blue Badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture, yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on the fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the Blue Badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room that I don't even know what it is yet. Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious Blue Badger look-alike. Alright, we're looking for something that looks like it's got 3 horns. 3 horns. 3 horns. 3 horns? 3 horns. No. 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 This is the actual Blue Badger, so this does count. No. No. Something here that has 3 horns. 3 horns. No, it's a glove. No, no. Maybe? No, 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 no. Is it the jar? Hold up. You're allowing me to examine it here. Is it because of the blood stain, or is it because... If you flip this upside down, this kinda looks like it, doesn't it? It's got the horn, you know, the bottom, and the 2 sides. Dark red stains must be blood traces from the incident 2 years ago. Only the fragment found in Chief Kent's office still has the lines remaining on it. I think it might be this. Take that! The mysterious Blue Badger was in fact this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger. Indeed, it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? Got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Here we go. This. Or let's get, okay, there we go. We got the 2 horns on the side, and then the 1 horn on top. This, I think, maybe. Like that? I think this is probably it. Ah, great. I'm glad this worked, I think. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the Blue Badger. No. It can't be. Edward hates the fact that we're using this again.
Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witness on the day of the crime was actually this.
Objection!
Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. It doesn't change anything.
Objection!
Hold up, wait a minute. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us, what's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? What changes here? I'm gonna say the murder, I guess? That's the only thing I think of that makes sense here. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant.
Objection!
The body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself.
Objection!
Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dart and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office.
Objection!
Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body? From Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yeah. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. What? If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright?
I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have set the jar flying?
That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. The man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on. What would he have hit?
The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword.
Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No. Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Phoenix, don't do it.
Another possibility.
Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with it. Phoenix, don't go through with it.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter?
Events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh boy. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? I can't scream no, but no! crap. I just killed the closest confidant that I had in this entire case. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. This cannot be where it ends.
So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with their own testimony. This is unprecedented.
What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances... Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. You hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations. I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. Certainly can't get dead people to testify. Maya! This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Sky. Of course. That only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean, the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, there's the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message even exist?
Gotta think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. There's got to be evidence somewhere. Let's go for it. This message. Oh, I have an idea what it is. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys the message from the deceased.
I think I know what it's going to be. I think it's the jar.
Take that!
This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, right?
Oh, is he just going to speak the killer's name? That thing could, I'm sure it would. So everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there's a line here drawn in blood.
So what you're saying is that these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. The blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed direction. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Gotta connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. His murderer's name. Oh, I guess we're drawing it out. So here, here. I actually don't know if this is doing anything. I'm assuming it is. Trying to write Emma out. I'll be right back when this is done. I want to make sure this is right before I go through, because I know this is going to spell Emma. I just want to make sure that's actually done correctly, so. Okay, so I went through the first, 12 seconds afterwards. It's done correctly as it is right now, which is basically just dots connecting everything. It doesn't look completed, but it is. So let's present this. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. There it is. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Skye.
Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief Kent.
You understand the implications of what you've done.
What? What are you talking about?
2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor of the case, were you not?
Ugh.
Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
Objection!
But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable.
I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice.
What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
This is a different sound. What's going on in the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault?
Order! Order! Order!
The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. To be continued. All right, everyone. So things have gone off the rails. I might have just convicted my new best friend, my replacement for Maya at this point, to murder, and now my defendant hates me, and things are great. Okay, yeah. join us next time to where I hopefully clean up my mess. Subscribe if you feel like it. Subscribe if you think I've destroyed the lives of people, because I feel like that's probably the case. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Join us next time. Another episode. Bye.